What if I told you that money doesn't come to you, but that you move toward it? Take a deep breath. There is an energy field around you at this exact moment. An invisible field, but absolutely real. Within it, all versions of your life already exist. The version of you that struggles, the version of you that survives, and the version of you that flows in unlimited abundance. They are not future possibilities. They are parallel realities, already happening, now. The difference between each of them is not in what you do, it's in the frequency at which you vibrate. You did not find this video by chance. Something inside you already knew, something that needs no words, something that recognizes truth before it is even spoken, something ancient, deep, that has always been asleep in the quietest layers of your consciousness. Millionaires don't think differently than you. They vibrate differently, and that vibration is not a gift. It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's physics. It's energy. It's pure frequency translated into matter. While most people try to attract money with effort, with strategies, with more action, those who truly prosper do something completely opposite. They become the money. They collapse the quantum wave of abundance simply by existing in a specific internal state. And that state is not optimism. It's not forced visualization. It's not mental repetition of empty affirmations. It's something much deeper. It's the complete reorganization of your brain frequency. It's the moment when your nervous system stops transmitting scarcity and begins to radiate fullness. And when that happens, the quantum field around you responds, not by magic, by resonance. Think about it. Everything that exists in the universe is vibration. The chair where you're sitting, the air you breathe, the sound of my voice, and money. All of this is energy condensed into different frequencies. When you tune into the frequency of abundance, you don't attract wealth. You become visible to it. You enter the timeline where it's already waiting for you. And that timeline is not distant. It's right next to you, separated from you only by the thinnest layer of perception, as thin as a thought, as delicate as a breath. But there's a problem no one explained to you. Your brain was programmed to resist it. Since childhood, you've been conditioned to believe that money is difficult, that you must suffer to deserve it, that good people shouldn't desire wealth, that life is a constant struggle between you and survival. And every time you believe this, every time you feel the tightness in your chest when thinking about bills, every time you see yourself as small before life, you emit an electromagnetic wave, a clear, precise, unmistakable vibrational signature, and the quantum field reads that signature and returns to you exactly what you are transmitting. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it is neutral. It is a mirror, a quantum mirror that reflects, without judgment, the dominant frequency of your being. So, the question is not, how do I get more money? The real question is, what frequency am I emitting now? And here's what most people don't realize. They spend their entire lives chasing money while vibrating scarcity. They want abundance, but feel lack. They visualize wealth, but believe in limitation. And that internal contradiction creates a chaotic field, a confused signal that the universe cannot interpret. It's like trying to tune into two radio stations at the same time. You don't hear music, you hear noise. Keep listening. Something in you is awakening. Because what you're about to discover in the next few minutes is not a technique. It's not a method. It's a revelation. It's the vibrational key that separates those who live in scarcity from those who breathe abundance like air. And that key has always been inside you. You just forgot where it is. But your body remembers. Your soul remembers. And now in this instant, something ancient inside you is beginning to awaken, not as thought, as sensation, as recognition, as truth. You are about to remember who you really are. And when you remember, everything changes. Because remembering is not learning. Remembering is recognizing. It's looking at something and knowing without doubt that you've been here before, that you've known this before, that everything you're hearing now is not new. It's just the echo of a wisdom that has always inhabited the depths of your being. Millionaires don't have a secret formula. They have a frequency, and that frequency is not born from success. It precedes success. It is the cause, not the effect. They don't become prosperous because they have money. They have money because they are already prosperous. Inside, in the place where quantum waves collapse before becoming matter. And that place is where you're about to enter. So breathe again, deeper this time, and allow something in you to open. Because what comes next is not information, it's transformation. And you don't need to do anything for it to happen. You just need to be present, here, now, in this field of infinite possibilities that has always been waiting for you. Let's talk about what really happens in the brain of someone who lives in abundance, not metaphorically, scientifically, in a way that you can understand that this is not empty mysticism. It's physics applied to consciousness. Neuroscientists discovered something fascinating when they studied the brain activity of highly prosperous people. The brainwave patterns of these people are radically different from the average. They spend more time in alpha and theta wave states, frequencies associated with creativity, intuition, clarity, and what we call flow. Meanwhile, most people live imprisoned in beta waves, the state of constant alertness, of worry, of survival, of reaction. This chronic beta state keeps the brain in emergency mode, and when the brain is in emergency, it only sees one thing: danger, scarcity, threat. It literally cannot perceive opportunities. Because the brain in survival mode is programmed to see only what can hurt you, never what can expand you. Because the brain in beta is looking at the past trying to predict the future, it is not present, it is not here. And because of that, it cannot access the field of infinite possibilities that exists only in the now. Here is the quantum truth. The future is not ahead of you. It is beside you, in parallel layers of reality that coexist at this exact moment. And what determines which of these layers you will experience is the frequency you emit now, not tomorrow, not after you achieve something. Now, think about the collapse of the wave function. In quantum physics, a particle exists in multiple states at the same time until someone observes it. At the moment of observation, all possibilities collapse into a single reality. You are the observer. And what you observe within yourself, what you feel, what you believe, what you vibrate, collapses the quantum field around you into a specific form of matter. If you observe scarcity within yourself, the field responds with scarcity. If you observe abundance, the field responds with abundance. But here's the crucial point. The field does not respond to what you think. It responds to what you feel, to what you radiate, to the electromagnetic frequency of your heart and your nervous system. You are remembering, not learning, because deep down you always knew this. You've already felt moments in life when everything flowed, when doors opened, when the right people appeared, when money came without effort. In those moments, you weren't trying, you were being. And when you simply are, without resistance, without fear, without contraction, you emit a coherent wave, a clean frequency, and the quantum field responds with the same coherence. Millionaires don't have access to a different field. They just stop interfering with the field. They stop emitting contradictory signals. They stop saying, "I want abundance," while feeling scarcity. They align desire with vibration, and when that happens, the universe has no choice. It mirrors. Now, let's go deeper. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field that can be measured several feet away from your body. This field is 5,000 times stronger than that of the brain, and it carries information, emotional information, vibrational information. When you feel genuine gratitude, love, peace, fullness, your heart emits a coherent wave. That wave synchronizes the brain, synchronizes the nervous system, and synchronizes the quantum field around you. But when you feel lack, fear, anxiety, neediness, the field around the heart becomes chaotic, disordered, and that disorder is what you transmit to the universe. And the universe, being neutral, returns chaos. So transformation doesn't happen in the mind, it happens in the heart, in the body, in the energy field that you emit without realizing it. And that field can be reprogrammed, not with positive thinking, but with presence, with feeling, with the conscious decision to vibrate differently now, regardless of what hasn't changed out there yet. Because the out there is just the delayed reflection of what you vibrated before. If you want to change the reflection, change the source. And the source is you, vibrating, now. Think about it. When you look in the mirror and smile, the reflection smiles back. But the reflection didn't smile first. You smiled, and the mirror just responded. Reality works the same way. It doesn't create. It responds. It mirrors. It reflects the frequency you emitted a few moments ago. And if you want to see abundance in the mirror of reality, you need to emit abundance now. Not when the money arrives. Not when things get better. Now. Because the quantum field doesn't understand linear time. It only understands frequency, and the frequency you emit now determines what collapses into your experience later. So millionaires don't wait to have money to feel rich. They feel rich first, and the money comes as a natural consequence of that internal state. They don't lie to themselves. They don't pretend. They access a deeper truth, the truth that abundance is not something external to be conquered. It's an internal state to be inhabited, and when you inhabit that state, the external reorganizes itself to reflect the internal, not because you deserve it, not because you worked hard, but because you vibrated at the exact frequency that attracts the corresponding form. And here's the most important part. That frequency is not something you create. It's something you allow. You stop blocking. You stop doubting. You stop contracting. And when you stop resisting, the abundance that has always been available finally finds space to enter, because it was always there, in the field, waiting, not for permission, but for resonance. What if I told you that you never needed to create abundance, that it has always been here, waiting, not in the future, not somewhere distant, but here, in this field, in this moment, vibrating at a frequency that you simply weren't tuned in to perceive? You don't create wealth, you become the frequency of it. And the moment you become, it collapses into your reality. Think of a radio station. All stations are broadcasting at the same time. Classical music, rock, news, jazz, all at the same time, in the same space, passing through your body now. You don't hear them because you're not tuned in, but they're there, and they remain there, regardless of whether you believe it or not, regardless of whether you perceive it or not. The same happens with timelines. The timeline of scarcity is broadcasting. The timeline of survival is broadcasting. And the timeline of infinite abundance is also broadcasting. You just need to change the dial. And the dial is not outside of you. It's inside, in your heart, in your nervous system, in the emotional frequency you choose to inhabit at this exact second. If this resonates with you, it's because your soul already knew. It knew before you were born. It knew before you forgot. And now, it's reminding you, you are not small. You are not limited. You are not the sum of your bills, your fears, your past failures. You are a conscious energy field, capable of collapsing quantum waves simply by existing in a specific state. And that state is not something you achieve. It's something you allow. You stop resisting. You stop contracting. You stop trying to prove you deserve it. And you simply feel abundance as if it were already here. Because in the quantum field, it is. Every version of your life already exists. The rich version, the free version, the peaceful version, all coexisting in parallel layers of reality, separated from you only by the frequency you choose to emit. And here's the secret that few understand. Creation doesn't require effort. It requires surrender. Surrender to the flow. Surrender to the frequency. Surrender to the field that already contains everything you desire. Millionaires don't work more. They work differently. They act from the frequency of abundance, not from the frequency of lack. And when you act from fullness, each action multiplies. Each word opens doors. Each decision is guided by an intelligence greater than fear. You stop chasing, and you begin to attract, not because you're doing something right, but because you're being someone different. And the universe doesn't respond to what you do. It responds to what you are. So, who are you being now? Are you being the person who struggles for survival? Or are you being the person who already lives in abundance, even though the bank doesn't know it yet? Because the bank is the last to know. The quantum field knows first. Your heart knows first. And when the heart knows, the body relaxes, the mind quiets, and you enter the state of coherence. And in that state, you don't need to visualize. You don't need to affirm. You don't need to convince anyone, not even yourself. You simply vibrate, and the field responds. Remain in this field for a few more moments, because something in you has already changed. You are no longer the same person who started listening to this video. The frequency within you is reorganizing. The cells of your body are receiving new information, and the field around you is beginning to align. Understand, when you change inside, the universe has no other option but to change outside. Not immediately, but inevitably, because matter is slow, energy is fast, and you just changed the energy. Now it's just a matter of allowing matter to catch up. And you know how you do that? You don't doubt. You don't question. You don't go back. You remain in the state. You inhabit the frequency. You live as if abundance were already real. Because in the field, it is. And when you live like this, without needing proof, without waiting for external confirmations, you emit the most powerful signal possible, the signal of someone who knows, not who believes, who knows. And the universe responds to what you know, not to what you hope. Millionaires know they are abundant, not because they have money, but because they decided to be abundant, internally, first. And the money came later, as confirmation, as reflection, as a natural consequence of an internal state that cannot be denied. So, the question you need to answer now is, are you willing to know before you see? Are you willing to feel before you have? Are you willing to be abundant while the bank account still says otherwise? Because if you are, everything changes. If you're willing to inhabit that frequency now, regardless of what hasn't changed out there yet, you just made the quantum leap. You left the timeline of scarcity and entered the timeline of abundance. And in this new timeline, things happen differently. Doors open differently. People appear differently. Not because the universe changed, but because you changed. And when you change, everything around you reorganizes to reflect that change. That's how it works. It always has been. You were just looking in the wrong direction. You were trying to change the reflection instead of changing the source, but now you know. And knowing changes everything. Now let's anchor this in your body. Because knowledge without experience is just information. And you didn't come here to accumulate information, you came to transform. So breathe deeply. And as you breathe, feel the air entering. Not just into your lungs, but into every cell, into every empty space within you. Close your eyes if you can, or simply soften your gaze, and imagine that with each inhalation you are bringing light into your body, a golden light, warm, alive. It enters through the top of your head and descends slowly. It passes through the mind, calms the thoughts, dissolves the tension, and continues descending to the heart. And when it reaches the heart, something happens. The heart begins to glow, as if it always knew how to do this, as if it were just waiting for your permission. And now you give that permission. Breathe into the heart, not with the mind, with sensation. And as you breathe there in the center of your chest, feel something expanding, not as an image, as presence, as if the space around your heart were becoming larger, more expansive, lighter. And in that space, you begin to feel something that doesn't depend on anything out there, a sensation of fullness, of sufficiency, of peace. Stay here. This is the point where time stops. You don't need to do anything, just feel. Feel as if everything you've always wanted is already inside you, not as desire, as reality, because in the quantum field, it is. And when you feel this, when you allow this sensation of abundance to fill your chest, without needing proof, without needing confirmations, you are emitting the exact frequency that collapses the wave. You're not pretending. You're accessing the version of you that already lives in that reality. And when you feel what she feels, you become her. And the field around you has no choice. It responds. Now imagine that, from your heart, this golden light begins to expand. It leaves your body and forms a field around you, a field of abundance, of clarity, of magnetism. And within that field, everything you need is already moving toward you, not because you're asking, but because you're vibrating at the same frequency, and frequency attracts form. Breathe here for a few more seconds. Feel the weight of the body, feel the temperature of the air, feel life pulsing within you, and know, not with the mind, but with every cell, that you are not alone in this field. The entire universe is listening to your silence and responding. Now, let's go deeper. Imagine that you can see this golden field around you. It pulses, it vibrates, it radiates a specific frequency, and that frequency has a quality. It's not rushed, it's not anxious, it's not needy, it's calm, it's powerful, it's magnetic. It's the frequency of someone who already has, of someone who already is, of someone who knows. And as you breathe in this field, feel how your body begins to relax even more. The shoulders drop, the jaw loosens, the belly softens, Because the body knows when you stop fighting. And when you stop fighting, it enters a state of coherence. And in that state, every cell in your body begins to emit new information. Information of abundance, of prosperity, of flow. And that information travels through the electromagnetic field of your heart, through the waves you emit without realizing it. And the universe reads that information and begins to reorganize, not in a visible way yet, but in a quantum way, in the field of possibilities that precedes matter. Keep breathing, keep feeling, and now, bring to mind, gently, effortlessly, an image of your life already transformed, not as fantasy, as memory of the future. See yourself living in abundance, not as something distant, but as something natural, as something that has always been. See the people around you, see the places where you are, see the ease with which things flow, and as you see, feel the texture of that reality, feel the temperature, feel the sound, feel the sensation in the body, because the more real you make this internally, the faster the quantum field collapses this reality externally. You're not creating something new. You're tuning into something that already exists. And the more time you spend at this frequency, the stronger it becomes. The easier it becomes to return to it. The more natural it becomes. Until one day, you realize, this is no longer a practice. This is your new identity. You're no longer someone who is trying to be abundant. You are someone who is abundant. And when you are, the doing becomes easy. Decisions become clear. Opportunities appear. Doors open. Not because you're doing more, but because you're being different. And the universe always responds to what you are. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes. But don't leave this state. Take it with you. To the next conversation. To the next thought. To the next decision. Because this state is not meditation. It's your new reference point. It's who you are when you're not trying to be anyone. It's the frequency you forgot, but that your body has always known. And now, you remembered. And when you remember, you don't go back. You only expand. You are already vibrating differently. You may not notice it yet with your mind, but the body knows. The field knows. And the next hours, the next days, will show you. Because something changed. Not out there. In here. And the out there is just a matter of time. Of coherence. Of permanence in this new state. So don't go back. Don't go back to the old frequency. To the old fear. To the old story of who you thought you were. Because you are no longer that person. You remembered. And when you remember, you don't unlearn. You don't go back. You only expand. The frequency of millionaires is not secret. It's not privilege. It's not a gift. It's choice. The choice to vibrate fullness even when everything around you is still saying otherwise. The choice to trust the field even when the mind is still doubting. The choice to be abundance before having abundance. And when you make that choice, you're not waiting for the universe. You are collapsing the quantum wave now. Return to this message whenever you want to remember who you are. Because this video didn't end. It continues inside you. As a vibrational seed. As new information in the field of your heart. And the more you inhabit this state, the more it becomes you. Until one day, you look back and realize, the money didn't come to you. You moved toward it. You changed timelines. And now, you live in a reality where abundance is not the prize. It's the natural state. And here's what will happen in the next few days. You will begin to notice things. Small synchronicities. Conversations that appear at the right time. People who bring exactly the information you needed. Ideas that emerge from nowhere. It's not coincidence. It's resonance. The field is responding to the new frequency you are emitting. And the more you recognize these synchronicities, the more they happen. Because recognition is an act of observation. And in quantum physics, the act of observing collapses the wave into matter. So observe, recognize, give thanks. Every time something flows, every time a door opens, every time money appears unexpectedly, pause, breathe, and recognize, not as luck, as response, as a direct reflection of the frequency you are emitting now. And here's the most important part. You will have days when you forget. Days when the mind will try to pull you back to the old pattern, to the old story, to the old frequency. On those days, don't fight, don't judge yourself, don't think you lost access. You didn't lose anything. You just momentarily forgot. And all you need to do is remember. Remember that sensation in your chest, Remember that expansion. Remember that peace. And when you remember, you return. Instantly. Because the frequency of abundance is not something you conquer once and never lose again. It's something you choose. Repeatedly. Consciously. It's a practice. But not a practice of effort. A practice of presence. You don't need to force anything. You just need to return. Return to the heart. Return to the body. Return to the present moment. And in the present moment, you always have access to the frequency. Always. So when the mind begins to doubt, when fear begins to whisper, when scarcity begins to knock on the door, breathe. Place your hand on your heart. Feel the beating. And remember that you are not the story. You are not the past. You are not the bank account. You are the field. You are the frequency. You are the consciousness that collapses the waves. And when you remember that, everything changes. Again. And with time, remembering becomes easier. The frequency becomes more stable. The state becomes more natural. Until one day you realize you're no longer practicing. You're just being. And when you just are, without effort, without resistance, life flows. Money flows. Opportunities flow. The right people flow. Not because you're doing something right, but because you stopped doing something wrong. You stopped blocking. You stopped doubting. You stopped contracting. And in the absence of resistance, the abundance that has always been available finally finds space to enter. It's that simple. And that's exactly why it works. Because the universe is not complicated. We are the ones who complicate it. The universe responds to frequency. And frequency is determined by internal state. Change the state, change the frequency. Change the frequency, change reality. It's physics. It's energy. It's life. And you just learned the language the universe understands. Now live in that language. Breathe in that language. Be in that language. And watch how everything around you begins to speak back. At the same frequency. At the same vibration. At the same abundance. Breathe, feel, and know. You don't need to seek anything more. Everything you wanted and has always been you. And now you know this. Not as a concept, as experience, as living truth in the center of your chest. And that truth will transform you, day after day, breath after breath, choice after choice, until one day you look back and barely recognize who you were, because you are no longer that person. You are the version of yourself that you always knew was possible, but that seemed too distant. Until now, until this moment, where everything becomes clear. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you have always been. If your soul recognizes this truth, honor it now. Click subscribe, give this video a like, and believe. Allow the universe to continue the work that began here.